Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are searching for more MLB betting value with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Right now we're looking at the card for Friday, August 7th. Joe Duffy, things going as well as ever at your website?
It is. I got to say, since the All-Star break, it's been streaky, but luckily that includes some ridiculous winning streaks in addition to some bizarre losing streaks. But we continue to win just at a little bit more up and down rate than we did in the first half.
All right, well, we've definitely given some profitable advice and leans on this show. For the card Friday, August 7th, there's not a whole lot that I'm seeing. There's a lot of stuff that looks interesting. Nothing that I'm really leaning towards yet, except for this one matchup, which seems kind of obvious. Boston at Detroit, right? Joe Kelly against Daniel Norris. Norris, a highly regarded prospect, who's coming off of an excellent 7-inning, 1-run start at Baltimore in his last start. Also very efficient, just 84 pitches, and we know that Joe Kelly's been struggling all year after predicting that he'd win the Cy Young. Really not getting it done. Usually gives up 4 or 5 runs by the fifth. Detroit, they are an underachieving team offensively, but they should hit Kelly. I guess I'm leaning Detroit here. What's your take on that matchup, Joe?
I would agree with you. I think that Norris is going to follow a route that we've seen many times before. These guys come up in the minor leagues. First time around, they look like they are the real thing, and they're going to be, the second coming. Then all of a sudden, the league catches up to them. But in the case of Norris, the league hasn't caught up to him yet. So it does appear to be a great situation for Detroit here. I would pretty much agree with everything you said.
And then another game that seems like, if you look at on paper, that we know how it's going to go is Clayton Kershaw against Cole in the Dodgers at Pittsburgh. Now, Kershaw's been absolutely unhittable recently, despite reports of a hip issue. Cole has not been unhittable. He's been very good, but he's been giving up 2 or 3 each start. So, on paper, it looks like it's going to be Dodgers 2-0 or 3-0 after 7. Is there any reason to believe that? Is there any reason to expect anything different, Joe?
Pittsburgh's a pretty good team, so he's going up against a good offense, against a quality team. But Clayton Kershaw, at this point, matches up great against everybody. You're talking about possibly the best pitcher in the game after a so-so start to the year is back to pitching like Clayton Kershaw, and there's really no case for Clayton Kershaw is at a pitching disadvantage. I guess early in the year when he was struggling off of, the career year followed up by a so-so playoffs and maybe had a little bit of a mental hangover. But, of course, Clayton Kershaw always matches up well. Still, playing a quality team at home, I wouldn't automatically knee-jerk bet Kershaw. We got to look a lot more at the offensive stuff.
All right, and then one guy who I think is due for a good start here is Jordan Zimmermann, coming off a subpar start against the resurgent Mets, but here back at home against Colorado, often does very well at home. I expect a rebound start from Zimmermann. I think he'll have a pretty good start against Colorado. And then the other side, Jorge De La Rosa never makes it easy, but on the road usually comes out one way or another with a reasonable start. So I guess I'd be leaning under here and leaning Washington based on an expectation that Jordan Zimmermann will probably have a good start. What do you think about that, Joe?
And in addition to everything you said, Jordan Zimmermann has pitched pretty well against Colorado, both at home and on the road, 5-0 with a 2.20 ERA. So I do think Washington would have the advantage here, but again, the odds makers know that. Yeah, maybe it would be a decent situation. At least take a long look at the under.
And then 2 studs matching up: Dallas Keuchel and Sonny Gray. Houston at Oakland. The total is going to be 6.5, though, I'm assuming. And both these guys are awesome overall on the year, but they haven't been guaranteed to be lights out recently. 6.5 will be a low total. Maybe we'll see 7, but I doubt it. I'm thinking more likely 6.5. What do we expect from Keuchel and or Gray here? Not
necessarily the single most compelling splits in Major League Baseball, but Keuchel has a road ERA of 3.66, which isn't bad, but it's not, spectacular as compared to 1.26 at home. So if you're ever going to fade Keuchel, it would be on the road, and he's certainly going against a sensational pitcher. So a slight advantage for Oakland. Yes, there will be a low total. That's why I'd be a little bit nervous betting it under, because maybe Houston could give up some runs here. But because of the home road splits, I would give the advantage to Oakland.
All right, now another big pitching matchup, Jacob deGrom and Jake Odorizzi in the Mets at Tampa Bay. Odorizzi's been doing well, but not quite back to his pre-injury dominance level that he flashed at times in his career that we've seen from him. He's still been doing well, though, and, it's a very, fine line between how he was doing now and how he was doing in the past. So if he has a shutout start here, dominant start, it wouldn't be a shock at all. Jacob deGrom, on the other hand, has been near lights out recently. you know, the Mets and Tampa Bay were weak lineups in the beginning of the year, but they both have been hitting better recently. Still, I'm thinking, I don't know what this total will be, but we're likely to see 2 more strong starts from these guys. What do you think?
Yeah, DeGrom is a clear stud, no question about it. He showed that last year was no fluke. Keep in mind another pretty good split. Odorizzi, much better at home at 1.41 ERA and 7 starts at Tropicana Field this season. You know, that dump Tropicana Field, but he has pitched very well there, so it should be a low-scoring game indeed.
Well, I think my primary leans as of right now, I guess leaning towards Detroit, more of the same from Joe Kelly, and leaning towards a strong start from Zimmerman. So that means either Washington or the under, or maybe both. And then, you know, probably a strong start from both Odorizzi and DeGrom. I'm not sure about that, if I'm going to go through with that. What else would you like to bring to our attention from August 7th, Joe?
Well, we talked about earlier in this video how there are some pitchers, they come up and they look like studs right away. Then the league catches up to them. Perhaps this year's poster child, but there have been a couple other guys. But Cody Anderson, 0.89 ERA in his first 4 outings, but now 8.40 in his past 3 turns. I think he is a guy that I would definitely fade. He has more than come down to earth. And, you know, we know that Cole Hamels, of course, had literally maybe the best swan song ever in the history of Philadelphia. But despite that, he's allowed at least 5 runs in 4 of his past 7 starts. So Hamels has been so-so as of late, despite that spectacular outing in his final game as a Philly. And he's facing Iwakama for Seattle, who's done very well against Texas, 4-0 with a 2.62 in his past 5 starts. So I think you're going to get good value there because you're going against Cole Hamels. Might be a pretty good situation for Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle has actually been able to hit at times, including at home this year. All right, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Thanks.